Asia space race. Asian nations are in the midst of an unspoken space race. Although China has captured most of the attention, Japan, India, South Korea, North Korea, Iran, Iraq, Kazakhstan, Pakistan and other countries in the region are also expanding their space programs. Unlike Europe, however, where countries are cooperating within the European Space Agency, ESA, Asian nations are going it alone. Space activities' close links to national prestige and military operations are part of the problem. Like the superpowers of the 1960s, Asian officials believe that space programs will bring them status at home and abroad. Asian nations do not want to be seen as backward or, worse, as falling behind their neighbors in science and technology. So they watch one another's space accomplishments closely and try to match their rivals at every turn. Tensions in Asian politics underlie today's space competition. Long-festering historical and geopolitical feuds have created hostile dyads throughout Asia. China, India, Pakistan, North Korea, South Korea, China, Japan and Vietnam, China, as well as lesser rivalries in Southeast Asia. Unlike Europe and the Cold War-era United States and Soviet Union, Asia has no legacy of regional security cooperation, much less arms control. Asia's emerging space race is spurring technological advances in the region. But competing national agendas are fostering scientific duplication, a failure to pool resources, political mistrust and increasing military tensions. These are worrisome trends that are also undercutting accomplishments made by the United States, Russia and Europe in space cooperation. The biggest fear among military analysts is that Asia's civilian space race will turn into an arms race. Greater cooperation is needed to avert an impending confrontation. Asia's rise in space can be tracked in the arithmetic of recent launch activity, see Asia Space Leaders. Last year, for the first time, the number of launches by China equaled that of the United States at 15, with only Russia ahead of them. In addition, India carried out 3 and Japan 2. Major Asian countries are likely to increase launch activity as they attempt to deploy constellations of precision navigation and timing satellites for both civilian and military uses. A recent flurry of moon missions highlights the competitive goals of Asia space players. Japan, China and India have all conducted independent lunar mapping programs, Kaguya, Chang and Chandrayaan, respectively, since 2007. All 3 countries are planning follow-up missions, including landers, instrument rovers and lunar bases. Despite this scientific redundancy, no one wants to cooperate and share the prestige from these flights. Race to the top. Although science matters, human spaceflight garners more attention. Witness the international tumult following the flight of China's Shenzhou-5 in October 2003. With subsequent flights of 2 and then 3 tachonauts, the latter flight including a spacewalk, China has put others in Asia on notice. Its September 2011 launch of Tiangong-1, the first orbital test module for a space station planned for 2020, has raised the bar even higher. Japan has more experience in human spaceflight, with 15 manned missions since 1992. It is a member of the International Space Station, ISS, to which it contributed the Kaiba research module. Yet all of its flights have been on the U.S. Space Shuttle or the Russian Soyuz. Japan's H-2 transfer vehicle is now bringing cargo to the ISS. It could be adapted to carry people, but Japan has not yet committed itself to developing the necessary life support and re-entry technology. India has felt forced to defend its space reputation in the face of China's rise. It has recently announced that it will launch its own astronauts into orbit by 2016. In preparation, it is working with Russia to train a cadre of astronauts and to acquire the necessary technologies. But this will be an expensive and risky undertaking. Beyond human spaceflight, all of Asia's major spacefaring countries are seeking to develop supplements to the U.S. Global Positioning System, GPS. China is again in the lead, having launched nearly 1/3 of its planned 35 satellite BIDA constellation. Like the GPS, BIDA will have both civilian and military applications. Japan is in the process of building a 3-satellite GPS augmentation system called Quasi-Zenith, which will reach throughout Northeast Asia. It is seeking buy-in from South Korea to manage costs. India is planning a satellite network, called the GPS-aided Geo-Augmented Navigation System, to provide services in South Asia. Although there is some cooperation by these countries with the United States, Europe and Russia in this field, none is planned among the Asian systems. Smaller countries are also joining the fray. Malaysia piggybacked on its purchase of Russian MiG-31 fighter planes to have its first astronaut trained by Russia and flown to the ISS in October 2007. Its rival Singapore is sending engineers and military officers to the United States for training to develop telecommunications and remote sensing capabilities. Singapore's first domestically produced XSat macro satellite achieved orbit aboard an Indian booster in April. Asia-space relations cannot be divorced from the broader political climate in the region. Meanwhile, Indonesia has a well-developed satellite communications network built with assistance from US and European companies, and in 2007 launched a remote sensing system, built with Germany, aboard an Indian Polar satellite launch vehicle rocket. Given its favorable equatorial location, Indonesia plans to develop its own launch capability by 2014. Thailand operates several large communications satellites covering Southeast Asia. It is working with France to develop an Earth imaging satellite and does cooperative projects with both China and Japan. Vietnam has constructed a system of ground stations to support its US-built Vinasat-1 communications satellite and is developing its own research satellite, called Pico Dragon. Backed by Japanese development funding, Vietnam is also building a national space center and an educational program to support it. Taiwan keeps tabs on China through a unique cooperative arrangement giving it access to an advanced Israeli imaging satellite as the craft passes through Asia. By 2014, Taiwan will have its own domestically built satellite, Formosa-5, for reconnaissance and Earth imaging. Thank you for watching.